What's going on, everybody? It's your Route 1 Encounter Ubar Eradicate. I wanted to talk real quick about my thoughts on the Dissidia beta. I'm going to play Mobius Final Fantasy in the background. There's no need to really look at it. It's just kind of here for me to talk over. There is a Final Fantasy 13 event coming up in Mobius, so I'm working on getting Magicite and stuff to summon cards in that event, so I'm just kind of grinding on the side while I talk about my experience with the Dissidia beta, as well as kind of the game itself. I guess, I mean, it's quicker to cover the beta because the beta was it could be described as poor. There was a lot of, obviously, like I mentioned in a bunch of the videos, it took about 5 minutes. Like, it took a couple minutes between matches to get a game. And then, especially towards the end of the beta, there were periods where it was very laggy. And I don't know if it's because towards the end, everyone was like, oh shit, I gotta get on. And they just kind of remembered that they had it. But connection issues weren't really too bad, besides a couple of instances over the course of the beta period. And I mean, as far as that, other than, oh my god, strobe warning. I didn't expect to be seeing Phantom Rush. I mean, that's the beta. That's what we were testing. There was I didn't have any bugs. I didn't have no problems with the gameplay. Just the netcode was a little iffy at times. But I mean, that's pretty much that. But as far as the game goes, that's what I'm more interested in. As a longtime fan of Dissidia, it's not really Dissidia. It's weird because this Phantom Rush needs to stop. Oh my god, sorry, I got distracted. If you weren't looking at the screen, then good for you, because oh my god. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, it's very different. It's Dissidia. Swillow described it as Dissidia in name only, and I would say that's pretty accurate. But the thing is, like, it holds the core concept of, like, the bravery and HP, the core mechanics of Dissidia, the idea behind it. But as far as the actual gameplay, the 3-on-3 is a very, very different dynamic. And there's little things like, for instance, I brought up that guarding in Dissidia used to be a parry. It used to be like, a frame perfect block that would put you at the advantage. It left the opponent in a stun state so that you could, you had the advantage. But in Dissidia NT, blocking puts you in a bubble that pushes you out of the way of danger, which is useful because otherwise, a parry block wouldn't be very useful if you were trapped in the corner getting mopped by like 6 different dudes, which happens, or 3 different dudes. If everyone was focusing you, you don't want to be trapped in one place waiting for your team to help you. It is helpful to bubble your way out of there. That's what it felt like. It felt like a bubble to me. But so I mean, there's little things like that, and how summoning is kind of the main mechanic when you really get down to it. It's about managing your summon meter as a team, and then finding an opportunity to summon, but without the opponent stopping you from doing so. I found that really easy because I was playing as Y'shtola. You can see in a couple of my matches, there were situations where I was already kind of being ignored, and because people were ignoring me, I was able to do my job effectively. But besides doing my job effectively, I was also able to summon without anybody really noticing for some reason. Even though the game tells you that you're summoning, right? It tells you somebody is summoning, but it's hard to pay attention when there's a lot of people on screen. So I feel like in the future, watching the minimap more and paying attention to the character portraits on the bottom, there's going to be a lot of like HUD management for your brain, which is interesting. It kind of feels like, I was looking at it and it kind of feels like an MMO. Like, it feels, they took away the RPG elements, but it still feels very much like a micromanaging kind of RPG setup more than a fighting game. Because that's the thing, I think it's interesting comparing it to what is it, Final Fantasy Explorers. Final Fantasy Explorers is the Monster Hunter style Final Fantasy game. And the thing with that game is, like, you don't move fast at all, and I don't think there's a block button. It controls very strangely for a Monster Hunter kind of game. But when I kind of got what it was going for, I realized it was like, you know, it was a traditional Final Fantasy style game where your spells have cooldown, and it's not so much about the movement. It's not like Monster Hunter, where Monster Hunter is, you know, more Dark Souls like, where it's, you know, 3D motion, circle strafing, looking for openings and that kind of thing. But this was more of like managing numbers, and the fact that it was Monster Hunter style was kind of incidental. And I feel like that's what this is, where it's a micromanaging kind of, you know, 3-on-3 versus RPG in the respect of like, I don't even know how, number management and shit, you know. But it's like, and it's action fighting game, is how you're managing those things. It's interesting, and I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, but I mean it is different. It's very different, but I think I do like it. I like it a lot. Especially, I started to feel it more when I started playing as Y'shtola. She is I mentioned in the video, she is a debuff white mage. Oh my god, like, I didn't realize that there was a character for me in that video game. I thought Lightning was the character for me. And it's weird because I always played as Lightning through 012. And I was like, yeah, Lightning. And she was the character I played the least of the two that I was playing. She was the one I played the least of this weekend, or this past couple, you know, the beta period. I did play as her a bit, and she's good, but like I had to approach the opponent as her. Whereas with Y'shtola, I could stay back, I could throw virus, and I could place my stone 2, and then I could, if they got near me, I could ice, you know, blizzard them out of my fucking face. She's just really fun. Now, that being said, I checked them tier lists. Swillow sent me a tier list, and the tier list says that Y'shtola is the worst character in the game in both versions, arcade and beta. And I believe it, and one of the reasons I believe it is because she cannot 1v1 for shit. I guess this is more discussion of Y'shtola than the game, but Terra is top tier, and I believe that wholeheartedly because of how hard I got dicked down by Terra. You cannot run from Terra, you cannot 1v1 Terra, especially, or at least as Y'shtola. As Lightning, I didn't really encounter that too much. I think I steered clear of Terra mostly as Lightning, or I stuck up behind. But, like, you can't land HP attacks. Like, Y'shtola's too slow, and her attacks are too short range. And you can't, none of her moves cause a wall splat, is the problem. She doesn't have a single move that causes a wall splat that I encountered. I also didn't use Lucid, what is it? Lucid, the water spell in the air. I remembered it earlier. It was Lucid Aura. I didn't really use that a whole lot because it's like short range and fast, and I mean it's useful for getting people away from you, but it's so narrow that you never hit anybody with it. To the point that I don't even remember what debuff it causes. But arrow and virus and stone were just like beyond amazing. Virus is it's probably my favorite move as her, especially because it causes attack and defense down for 30 seconds. Like, that's wild. That's crazy. And you can throw one and chase it, and it's really fun. And yeah, I mean, I like Holy. There was one part in one of the videos where I started up the startup of Holy, and I got hit out of it, but the move had already started, and the explosion went off behind me as I was thrown away from it, and it hit the person who was attacking me. And there were a few times where I just threw it out randomly, and somebody happened to walk up behind me and walk right into it. So the startup is like deceptive, and I mean it's a pretty decent blast range for melee fighters trying to come get you. So it's all right. I like it. Vivifying Lance is cool because it's you know, it's a straightforward projectile, and it's pretty. it's pretty speedy, but it's more one of those things where you'd have to follow somebody who's doing damage. Like there were a couple times I tried landing Holy when a Cloud player would stick somebody to the wall, but it didn't pay off very well. But I feel like if I was using Vivifying Lance, it would have been easier to get that hit on the wall. Well, I guess it would be stealing a hit, which is, you know, it's scummy, but that's really the only way you could manage it, and it saves the, you know, it saves the danger of mistiming a hit from the other player. So in a situation where you were coordinating with other people, I could see where it would be like, you know, a valid thing to do. Another thing about Y'shtola that it took me a little while to get used to, and you can see the moment I realized it in the video, where I didn't realize Ethereal Pulse, the healing spell, I didn't realize you had to hold it. I thought it was like you press it and then it heals you and your allies, and I didn't know it had a range to it. Where I saw there was kind of that bubble around you, but it looked like kind of just an effect wave. I didn't know if it actually affected people, and I wasn't sure. I was like, man, I wonder if they have to be within this range. But then I saw that one player hold it, and I was like, oh, you can hold it? So I held it, and this is another one of my favorite things about it, is it's you don't take hit stun while you're in it. They can HP attack you while you're doing it, which is what happened in that one game where I lost because the Squall hit me while I was recovering from letting go of the button. I saw him HP moving, and so I let go of the button, and I went to dodge, but it was too late, and he hit me. But, you know, there were dudes beating on me with bravery attacks, and I'm just taking it, and I'm healing HP, so my bravery doesn't matter. Like, for me, I can't land hits. I can't land HP moves, so my bravery barely matters. The only thing that that matters to me as far as not getting broken is if I break, then the opponent gets stage bravery, and I don't want that. But besides that, like, what does my bravery matter, you know? Because I still get the debuff no matter what happens. I can't hit HP moves 90% of the time, so, like, yeah, you know, fuck it, right? Like, what's the big deal? But that healing move is really cool, and it actually heals you really fast too. So again, in a situation where everybody is on mic talking to each other and you're coordinating things, I could see that being really useful. Like, really useful, especially with an Emperor, because I'm thinking, like, you know, Emperor traps locking people down, and you kind of hang behind, you know, if you have two allies that kind of lock the opponent in a corner, and then they have them stuck there, then you can kind of sit behind them and just heal, and it's a pretty big bubble. I mean, you don't have to be right up on them to do it. So I don't know. I think it'll have its uses. And then teleport, I didn't really get much use out of. It teleports you to whoever you're locked onto, and I have to wonder if that's just a like to chase them and use. I don't. Maybe they expect your allies to be near the opponent, right? Like if your Cloud was fighting somebody, right, and they were doing their thing, and then an opponent came up from behind them, and you saw it happening, maybe you could teleport to that opponent to stop them. I don't know. The teleport seemed weird to me. But and bravery regen was pretty cool. Because again, I don't really need bravery necessarily, but I mean, it keeps you from getting broken, or it recovers you from getting broken. Because I did get a couple kills, and Holy, because of the range, you can kill multiple people at one time with it. So it's not a bad move. It's just like it was impossibly hard to hit people with it in the beta. But I imagine, again, in a team setting, maybe it'd be easier to set up. I think that's Y'shtola. I really like her. I didn't expect to like her, actually, because, like I mentioned before, I don't really like cat girls, because all anime cat girls are kind of the same, where it's like, yeah, oh, yeah, you know, but she's not like, she's more like Lightning than she is like a cat girl. And to move on to Lightning a little bit, I love Lightning, and I was talking about the 13 event is coming up in Mobius, and it's dangerous because they're adding a it's called like an Ultimate Warrior job or something, and it's a skin that goes over your whatever class you have equipped, that makes, you know, turns you into Lightning and gives you a bunch of extra effects. And the thing is that, like, I need that because I love Lightning. And I know it's one of those things like, oh, it's a waifu, whatever. It's not even that she's a waifu, it's that she has like a character arc. And like 13, I might have mentioned before. I think it might have been in the video that I didn't end up uploading because it wasn't, like, it was incoherent. But 13 is my favorite Final Fantasy game, and I know I'll catch a lot of shit for that, but 13 is my favorite Final Fantasy game. and part of it is because that game has characters in it, like actual characters, not like anime characters. Some of them are pretty anime, like Hope. Hope is a whiny little bitch, but I understand that Hope's character, the reason he's a whiny bitch is to make to make Snow and Lightning better characters, which I guess I'll kind of talk about at another time. But so I mean, I love Lightning as a character, and I love Lightning as a design, and I love Lightning in gameplay concept of the paradigm shifts, right? And I'm kind of sad to see Medic gone, because just frame healing was kind of fun before, but you know, it doesn't really it wasn't necessary. It wasn't like a big deal. It wasn't super useful, but it was just kind of a neat thing. But it is easier to be able to switch between Commando and Ravager rather than having to go through the Medic as well. But so that's one mechanic, is yeah, you can change between Commando and Ravager with no Medic. The coolest thing about Lightning, I think, was being able to throw the Waterga, or the fire, the 3 fires, and then chase behind them, and as you're chasing behind them you switch to Commando, and then they hit the opponent, and you sword combo off of that. And it just felt really cool. I don't know what else to say, really. Her Army of One is amazing. Army of One is so good because it lunges forward. It does a really long combo that carries quite a distance, but it also heals you as you're hitting them. I think it's like 80 health per hit, and it's a lot of hits. So Army of One is amazing because you can just regen most of your health. I guess that maybe that's the Medic trade-off. But yeah, so Army of One's great. I think everybody has one of their sets with Bio or Poisinga. One of hers is like share bravery. You share like a third of your bravery with everybody, which is interesting, I guess. I mean, she is a assassin type, so she's more of a quick, speedy, physical fighter, or she can be a ranged, you know, magic fighter. But I guess it makes sense you could kind of bravery farm and then share it with your allies. But I don't really know how her meta works exactly. But Crushing Blow is about as useful as I remember it. Really slow startup. It's good for, you know, wall combos like any melee fighter's HP moves, really. But then you have like Zidane with Tidal Flame, where you can just throw it and it just works. It'll just go, right? Tidal Flame will just hit something. And Razor Wind or Razor Gale is kind of that, but with worse tracking and worse range. Like, it doesn't have any vertical. It's a Destructo disc. It has no vertical range whatsoever. It has barely any horizontal range. It's really slow. The tracking is kind of shitty. Whereas Tidal Flame is just amazing. Tidal Flame's stupid amazing. It's great. And then you have moves like Lord of Arms or whatever, or Blasting Zone for Squall and Furion, where they're big vertical columns that come down really fast, and they're narrow but they have range, and so you can catch people backdashing or side dashing. In one of those videos, a Squall catches me side dashing with Blasting Zone. So I don't know. Her HP moves are kind of shitty. I don't really like them a whole lot. But I mean, in the arcade version, there are different HP moves, because I know Y'shtola, I saw. I mean, in the beta, you can see they have like 5 different sets or something. But I remember in my video I watched where I learned how Y'shtola actually works, I saw, you know, there's a couple other HP moves. I didn't look at them because they weren't relevant to me. But I'll probably go back and watch them, you know, now that I'm thinking about the full game, which I am really excited for. I'm very, very excited for the full game, especially because I'm excited to play other characters, because, you know, like, of the heroes, I really care most about Lightning and now Y'shtola. But the thing was, I played a lot of Cloud and a lot of Cecil and a lot of Warrior Light. I played a lot of all these characters to the point that I'm kind of tired of them, and that's why I really kind of stuck to those two, because I could have tried to play Warrior of Light more. I could have tried to play Tias more, you know, just to show what those characters have in NT. But at the same time, I'm not really interested, because you know, I know how they feel. I know kind of what they want to do, and I wasn't really feeling it this time. So I'll play as them more when I have the full game. But since I just had the beta, I was like, let me play as the character I like, and the character I like is Y'shtola. Because I was at work thinking about the feeling of throwing Virus, and like Virus as a concept is really cool to me too. Just this giant plague ball of like, you know, disgusting fucking bacteria flying through the air. I don't know. I like it. I like it a lot. But I don't know what else there really is to say about it. I guess because yeah, general discussion of Y'shtola and Lightning, and then netcode was kind of iffy, but that's what the beta's for, to improve the netcode, and hopefully it'll be good because, I mean, we're in a situation where we have to play 3-on-3 with humans, so the netcode needs to be able to hold up. And I'm actually really interested. I don't know how because it is going to be at EVO Japan, and I'm kind of interested to see how we're going to run that. Are we going to need 6 PS4s for every setup? Because that's what it looks like, and that's kind of crazy, right? Because imagine trying to run a local where you need 6 PS4s. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It seems like a concept that definitely works better in an arcade. But they intended for it to be on PS4 from the beginning. I don't know. I guess to talk about, I don't know, what else is there to talk about? The summons are interesting. I didn't expect the summons to be as involved as they are, where, you know, when you summon them before in Dissidia 1 and 012, they did their thing, but they didn't affect the actual field. But once you get used to first of all summoning them, but second of all dealing with them on the field, because you start to notice like, oh, there's an area of effect, there's a light spark where things are gonna hit, right? And once you start to get the hang of working around them as well as working towards summoning them, they become a lot more manageable and a lot more fun to have around. Especially things like where with Y'shtola you have two options for hitting the summoning core, where you can throw rock at it, you can throw stone at it because it's really fast, or if you walk up to it or fly up to it and you do the arrow 2, it does multiple hits and you get more summon juice out of it, right? But that takes longer, and so people can come punish you. And I know that I've broken the summoning core and done damage to somebody by just standing behind it and using holy, because they're whacking on it, and then they're not expecting somebody to be behind it exploding, and then they take damage. And I stuck to Shiva the whole beta just because I love Shiva's design, but I don't really know. I'm interested to see that too, of how the summon meta is going to work out. Like, is the summons effect, are the numbers for the summons, specific effects on bravery or whatever, are they significant enough that it really matters, or does their particular field attacks make more of a difference on which one you would use? Because they all have some kind of similar ones, but then there's Bahamut with his lasers. Bahamut's lasers were probably the hardest to deal with because it's a big column, and if you get caught by it, it's really hard to get away from it, and you kind of just have to take the hit. And it forces you to dash in one direction, and eventually your dash meter runs out, and if it runs out at a bad time, you're in a lot of trouble. The dash meter is an interesting thing too, where I didn't know about that prior to the game. It makes a lot of sense. It sucks when you're playing as a character that needs to run away a lot, but that's the character. I don't really mind it too much. It recovers pretty fast when you land. You just have to chill for a bit, but blocking and dashing to escape somebody will keep it from coming back, so you kind of need to you gotta have your thumb fast on the I need help button as Y'shtola. As Lightning, it's not too bad because you shield and then it's pretty easy to punish. But yeah, dash meter is interesting. What else is there? Dash meter, guard, bravery, and HP are the same. I could talk about the stages real quick. I think the what stage is it? I think it was the Academy the no, it was it the academy? I don't know what it was. I think it was the Type 0 stage. It's the long, like, kind of a hallway with stairs on the sides. It's the big open courtyard kind of thing. It was a small stage that wasn't too small, it felt like, but the only stage I think I didn't like in the beta was Besaid, the Besaid Island. That stage is like too open. It's too gigantic. And a lot of my matches were spent chasing people or running away from people pointlessly, where there's just too much room in that stage. And I didn't think that was a thing in Dissidia, but it's true. Especially when you can only get, like, especially when combos revolve around carrying people to the wall. That stage is so gigantic, I can't imagine playing a melee fighter there, like, consistently. That makes me wonder if stage counterpicks are going to be a thing, or if stages will always be random. Because I can see a character like, characters like Cloud and Warrior of Light and Sephiroth and, you know, melee fighters who get a lot off of wall combos, them doing really well in stages like the Midgar, you know, the reactor stage, because there's a lot of walls to cling to people to, as opposed to Besaid, where it's like, it's a big open empty field that you kind of have to deal with. And that the big empty field felt really good for Terra, because that's where I got fucked up by Terra a lot of the time. It was that stage and the Final Fantasy 1 field with the castle in the background. Those are the two stages where I felt like Terra was really in her element and really hard to deal with. Because the most you can do in the Final Fantasy 1 stage is kind of hide behind rocks, and that doesn't really work out a lot of the time. Shantoto also feels really good. The tier lists say that she's like lower mid, but her spells beat out all of Yashalla's, which I guess isn't much of anything, because if Yashalla is a bad character, then it makes sense that everybody out prioritizes her, and that's why she's a bad character. But Shantoto seemed pretty cool. I just remember her being complicated in the old game, and that's why I was kind of scared to touch her, but I love that gif of Step Up Bitch. Step Up Bitch is my favorite gif now, and it makes me want to play the character based on that alone. She's just such a sassy prick. She says something like, rule of thumb, what you say is dumb, as one of her quotes for when you're in the lobby waiting. And, like, that's great, and she's wonderful. I think, like, the only character I didn't really care about at all in the beta is Bartz. I don't really like Bartz. He's got a cool idea behind him, but it's not really for me. I want to play Furion more, because Furion's, like, really good. He's always been really good. It kind of sucks he can't combo into HP attacks. That's one thing, too. They took out comboing into HP attacks, because there used to be moves in the old game where it was a bravery attack that chained into an HP attack, and they've taken that out. And I understand why they took that out, because that would be broken in this system, like crazy broken. If all you had to do is land Warrior of Light Shield Bash from fucking mid-screen, throw the shield, but it's still, it took away some of what those characters, what I liked about those characters, because that's what I liked about Furion and Warrior of Light, was their ability to, you know, grab you with the shield and then HP attack you. And Lightning being able to do her Flourish of Steel off of her neutral bravery attack. So it's one of those things that I kind of miss, but again, this is a different Dissidia. Wow. So sorry about that. It's the kind of thing where if there were like a PSP emulator, or, you know, if they would put O12 back in the fucking Vita, because I don't know what O12 was on the Vita, and then they took it off, but Dissidia 1 and Prologus are still on there. It doesn't make any sense. Why is Prologus on there but not O12? Anyway, but, you know, there's a difference in a value between both games. But it's interesting that the tier lists are kind of similar between the two, because X-Death and Emperor and Lightning are still really high on the tier lists, even, you know, despite it being a very different game. Terra has climbed up quite a bit. I don't know how she was in the old games, but Terra's crazy. Terra's amazing. It's just how good her projectiles are. There were situations where she would throw, I think it's Holy, the scatter, like, you know, the multi-shot white magic spell. And I would use Ruin, because that's my multi-shot, you know, magic spell. And hers would just, like, barrel through mine. I would catch, like, 5 of her projectiles after it ate my 3. It was ridiculous, and that's where I stopped fighting Terra. I was like, okay, nothing I throw is gonna beat anything she throws. Virus can stop some projectiles, but any multi-shot thing, I'm just like, I'm done for, man. But that's the matchup I remember the most because of how much it sucked. I felt pretty good against Squall. Virus seems to shut Squall down pretty hard. Same with Cloud. Cloud has his drop, like his dive attack that was pretty good. Because I don't really have anything. Once you get above Y'shtola, she can't really stop you up there. I mean, no character really can, but I felt really at a disadvantage against Cloud when he was where he wanted to be. But otherwise, if you're in a horizontal space on the ground, you just throw Virus and people have a, it creates a hard time getting in. So you throw Virus and then you drop your trap and then you hide behind it or you stand in it. And then if they come near you, you can either backdash and let them take the trap, or you throw Blizzard and you just throw them away from you. Toss another Virus, backdash, and then you shoot Stone. And Stone causes slow, which is amazing because hitting them with Stone and causing slow makes them easier to hit with Virus. And Holy has a vacuum, so you can hit them with slow and then also catch them with the vacuum sometimes. And it sucks that the character sucks because she's so much fun to play. But I mean, I guess that's just how it is sometimes. I'm back to playing my low tier characters. I had my fun with my tier privilege, but low tier called me back. But at the same time, I think I am going to co-main Lightning and Y'shtola right now. It depends on who they add entirely, and it depends on who I like in the final version. Because I know Kayn is S plus tier in the arcade version, and I love Kayn. I'm glad he's finally good because I remember him not being that great in the previous game, but I think one of the reasons Kayn might be good, and I don't know anything about it, I haven't watched any gameplay of him, but I would imagine it's because in the old games when you would dash towards whatever you were locked onto, you would dash directly towards it, which means if they were in the air, in front of you, you would dash diagonally upward at them. But now, because dash attacks are a thing on ground and air, you have to be able to stick to the ground to do a ground dash attack and be in the air to do an air one. So you have to jump in order to dash towards something in the air. And because of that, it's a little bit slower getting up there. But because of jump, Kayn can just walk underneath you and then immediately jolt up in the air and then drag you back down to the floor. And then you're at his mercy. And I'd imagine that's how that character works. That jump is really good because Bart's got me with that a lot because Bart has jump. So it'll be interesting to see. I can definitely understand how Emperor would be good in this because campy characters seem pretty strong, namely Terra and Emperor. But at the same time, Zidane seems really good because he can camp with Tidal Flare or Tidal Flame. Or my problem fighting Zidane was that he can close distance so quickly because of his dashing bravery attacks, and he can force you to dash with Tidal Flame, and then he can rush in with his dashing bravery attacks, and he can be a problem. That felt like another bad matchup. The worst matchups that I think I encountered were Terra and Zidane. I didn't have any problems with Cloud or Squall or Dark Knight Cecil. I didn't really see any Paladin Cecils. Everybody seems to want to play Dark Knight. But, I don't know. Other than that, I didn't notice anything that I remember as being awful. Lightning is probably not great, but I don't know. I don't know. Is there anything else? I'm not sure. I didn't prepare a list or anything. I'm just kind of going. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of my feelings on the characters. I'm really at the point where all I want now is I just want the game to come out and I want to see who else is in it. Because they, like I mentioned, they want 50 plus characters in it. And Nomura has preferences. He was saying specifically, I want Minwoo in there. I'm like, yeah, Minwoo's cool. And then I was like, what if we start getting crossover characters? Like, I had an idea, but I forget who it was. Like a Square Enix crossover. Because they said they're not going to put, Team Ninja's not going to put any Dead or Alive characters in it, they said. I'm like, I'm fine with that. But, I was thinking of another Square Enix character that'd be cool, but I forget now. But yeah, I think that's it. I can bring up anything else in future Mobius videos. But yeah, I think that about wraps that up. That's my feelings on the beta, mostly on the game more than the beta, because the beta is to fix the problems with the netcode. That's why it was out for so long. And I have faith in them. I'm trusting them for now because they have given me no reason not to trust them so far. I'm trusting that they'll fix these problems. Mostly just matchmaking time and making sure the servers don't get into those laggy situations. But besides that, I'm very excited for the game. I like what I played. I had a lot of fun playing as Y'shtola. I'm on the wiki already reading about how she got blind. She got blinded, you guys. The live stream fucked her up, and she's got that sick white mage costume that I can't wait to use. Oh, I need the alternate costume so bad. My God. Oh my God. But yeah, so there will definitely be a lot of that. There will be a lot of poking and Dissidia once Dissidia's out. As far as this game here, Mobius, expect to see this pretty soon. The biggest problem I'm having with Mobius is I don't know how to start. I don't know how to present this game as a series, but I think I'm just going to start during this 13 event, which begins tomorrow as of the time of this recording. So you'll start seeing content eventually, pretty soon probably. And there's a lot to explain, and I'm still kind of learning it myself. I'm by no means an expert on this, so I'll kind of probably explain it as I go along, because I'm sure if you watch any of that boss fight there, it probably was pretty fucking confusing. Although as a conjurer, I've reached the point where I can autopilot, and that's what I was doing, where I was like, yeah, whenever I get my spells, I just use all my spells and I'm good to go. And that's pretty much all I have to do is keep everybody buffed, and my deck is set up well for just keeping everybody set, because all my spells cool down at the same time as the buff ends, so I can just go. But so yeah, there will be more of that in the future. I will get around to it. But look at this beautiful artwork. But yeah, that about wraps that up. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or anything that I missed, let me know. I fucking love Dissidia, and despite being a fake, like with Sonic, where I'm a fake Sonic fan, I'm basically a fake Final Fantasy fan. But I mean, despite not being the most knowledgeable, despite not having played all the games or knowing everything about everything, not being amazing at min-maxing and shit, I love Final Fantasy. I love the world. I love the aesthetic of the series. I love the characters. I love every game that I've played. I can't think of one that I don't like besides like 13.2 and Lightning Returns and 10.2 are all like offensive to my brain, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, I'm pretty passionate about the series, and so I want to put more content out there. The problem is that, of course, I want to do a 13 playthrough, but that's a commitment, dude. That is a commitment, because those games are long. A lot of those games are really long. But Mobius is something that I can upload pretty casually, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff to show off in this game. There's a lot of sets that I want to show off. Stuff like, and it's stuff that I have to min-max these my stats, but there's all kinds of jobs in this that I could show off that I think will be pretty neat once I have builds going for them. But like, so you can see all my abilities aren't even max level, so I'll get there eventually. But yeah, more Final Fantasy on the way. But thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye.